So my name is Chris. I work with Good Music. I code Ruby and Rails. Time's a bit short, so if I go a bit quick, maybe you can approach me afterwards and ask me any more questions about MongoDB, which I will be presenting today. So let's kick it. All right. So what this presentation is about, it's about getting up and running with MongoDB. It's not a deep dive presentation, so it's short to the point. We're going to integrate Rails, and we're going to do some aggregation with the aggregation framework in MongoDB, which just came out in version 2.2. What this presentation is not about is like the deeper stuff about performance optimization, using replication, sharding, the differences between other NoSQL databases or data modeling using reference or embed. And I'm definitely not going to compare this NoSQL solution with any other SQL solutions out there like Postgres and others. Although if some of you have used RethinkDB, come see me later because I'd like to chat more about this NoSQL solution with you guys. All right, so quick introduction for those who haven't heard of this database. It's open source. It is a documented-oriented database. NoSQL, that means no joins, so hopefully a fast performance there, although arguable if you are a guru in the SQL side. This outputs JSON-style documents. It's very flexible schema, and it supports atomic operations. The use cases for MongoDB are quite a lot. In fact, I would refer you to this URL. It's their own, and there's on the same page you have real-world deployments of websites, other companies using MongoDB live. Okay, so MongoDB supports two kinds of documents. One is reference, so references. This is basically like your typical joins, so you could have a user references many comments or many articles. And then you have the embedded documents, which is instead of joining, you have it all in one document, embedded together. So in Ruby, we have the following ODMs. So Mongo Mapper, there's also Mongoid. Then you have, if you feel more comfortable without using a ODM, you can go straight with using the Ruby driver. And there are other Ruby mappers and ODMs out there on this side. So the good thing about an ODM, in this case Rails, Mongoid, is that it gives you active record-like API functionality. So you get things like, like callbacks, references, validation. You can define your fields. You can put indexes if you want. And the good thing is, it's all flexible. So you create something like this, and you don't need to create a migration file. You create your documents on the fly. More AR-like goodies are such as these ones here. So if you are used to Active Record, these commands would somewhat look familiar to you. Create first, destroy, destroy all. It's smart enough to also do cascade deletes on reference documents or embedded documents. And some of the other things I mentioned, like validations, you can also do scopes and things like that. Okay. So that was a pretty quick run through, but before I close and show you a quick demo app with MongoDB and Rails, I'd like to say that MongoDB is not fully relational. So it's not like Postgres and MySQL. Sometimes you have to really structure your documents before putting out production. Otherwise, you lose out on certain things with linking data together. But on the bright side, if you know a lot about your data structure, then you merit from the performance with the the features like the embedded documents and that. Atomic operations help mitigate from race conditions. That's good. I guess with SQL solutions, you would create a lock and rescue from stale records, and then if that lock occurs, you rerun that code block again. But the good thing here is it's atomic, so I think MongoDB handles its own locks behind the scenes. And the only problem here is there's an open bug since 2010, which prevents you from running atomic operations in embedded documents deeper than 1 level. But there are ways around that. So you can reference and then embed the document. Instead of embed, you can reference, and then embed. So that works out.
I think I captured that.
The positional operator.
I mean the deeper than one embedded.
Yeah, and it's kind of annoying because a lot of developers will, if you go on this Jira page, a lot of developers share the same sentiment, which is, it's quite an important feature, embedded documents, and you should be able to navigate through those documents without this existing bug. So Rails 4, apparently Mongoid, is still ongoing. The support is still ongoing, but if you install the master branch, you should be fine. I think they aim on releasing a Rails 4 support, Rails 4 version end or next coming month. And again, if you guys use RethinkDB, come see me afterwards to talk more. The problem that you'll see in the Jira with the embedded documents, positional operators, and exist with RethinkDB. RethinkDB is also very Ruby-like centric in terms of its SQL. So sorry, when you're querying the database, you're using like Ruby commands, and it's very easy to read.
It has its own version of SQL query language.
What's that?
It has its own.
It has its own version. In fact, I think one of the developers for RethinkDB made a DSL for Ruby, which hopefully one day will replace I think SQL, writing native SQL. All right, and there are existing solutions for you to deploy your Mongo databases to the cloud. There's MongoLab, MongoHQ. I'm pretty sure there are others out there. And now I will show you a 5-minute demo app using Rails 4, Ruby 2, Mongoid. This will cover embedded documents and a light touch on the aggregation framework. So basically, really good for basic analytics. Okay, so before I start, the key files that you need to get this up and running are, first of all, the gem file. So you want Mongoid installed, pointing to the master branch. And then I think you need an initializer. Well, not really initializer, but a config file that starts up, which basically connects to your Mongo instance. So this would have also assumed that you would have installed MongoDB locally on your laptop. And then I think there's a production environment that you can set up. So either pointing to MongoLab or MongoHQ. Once you get that running, the only thing to do is bundle, restart your Rails console, get your server up and running, and then now we define the models, right? So just like Active Record, they get stored in the models directory. You have a article which embeds many daily stats. So basically what this application is about is you have several articles, and for each article you want to track statistics. Statistics in the form of views count, how many males and females out of the overall views count per day. So you have the date field there. And here you also notice like other active record like stuff, like default 0, type integer, no migrations. That's the other good thing. All right, so I think that's pretty much it. I want the controllers are used, and now to really run this app, what I'll do is I'll open up. Let me put this. Oops. Okay. So I'll open up Rails console. Right? So you can see it together with the code tab. And I created a small Ruby script here, which will first destroy all my articles. So I make sure that I don't have any articles in the database. In fact, if I go article.count, I get 1. So let's start from the beginning. Run that, down there, run, sorry, count it again, 0, right? And now I'm going to create my articles. What you notice here too in this block of code is you're creating one article, you're giving it a random title, random content, and then you're also assigning it tags. That tag field is actually an array. So unlike, well, apart from Postgres, the newer versions of Postgres, now you can store hash columns, you can store array columns. In the past, you couldn't really do that, right? So MongoDB comes with this natively. I'm not sure if you can do that in MySQL. Any MySQL gurus here? Do you have like hash or array columns in MySQL? Okay. Anyways, so I'll run this code, right? There we go. So now I do article.count. I got 1 article. That's first, and that's my article, right? Maybe I should have installed also print, but that line here basically shows you that I have 1 article. So, anyways, the next thing I'll do is for this article, I'll run 5 times, and I'll go through a loop 5 times and randomly put numbers into the daily stats document. Right? So, okay, that's it. Oh, wait. I think 1 second. Let me run that again. Okay, there we go. So now, our daily stats is embedded in articles, right? So access this. I will go article first. Daily. So again, like AR, right? Active record, daily stats. Count. I got 5, right? And each one is on a different date. Why? Because my date format is actually like this, and I'm increasing it +1 on each loop, on each iteration of the loop. So what happens now is I can do things like, so let's look at one daily stat. Here, this was created on 2013, on September 18, 2013. Views count is 20, males count is 4, and females count is 3. If we look at another one, this is the next day. Still, views count 20, but the males count is different, and the females count is 2, right? So that's fine and all, but now you probably wonder, how can I group this and do some kind of aggregation, like sum it and then maybe feed it out to pie charts or some kind of graphing tool, right? The good thing about MongoDB is they have this thing called the aggregation framework. Before the aggregation framework, you would have to do this. The only way to achieve this is you would need to go through MapReduce. The problem with that was it was very slow, and a lot of developers complained, especially if you're dealing a lot with a huge data set. So when they came out with the MongoDB realized this, they came out with an answer, and the answer was this. Perfect, runs really quick, you can aggregate, it's very dynamic as well. And in this case, let's say, so I'm running the aggregation on the article. So if I do, that's my article, right? Just on the bottom of my console. And what I'm doing here is I'm going through the array of daily stats. So that's the first line. And project means show what you want to. Well, you end up with results, and you can decide which of those results you want to show in the end in your output. In this case, I just want to show daily stats. I think not even the article, just daily stats. And here I'm matching by date, so I'm saying today up to tomorrow. So GT is greater than or equal to, sorry. Greater than or equal to today, and less than or equal to tomorrow. So remember, I created 5 with 5 days, so I only want 2 days worth of stats. That match filter will make that happen for me. And then the final bit is the group part. So I'm going to group by date, and then I'm going to sum all of them together. So all the views count that it gets for those 2 days, put it into a field called views count, and the same thing with males and females count. Okay, there's an extra field here, an extra pipeline operation which sorts the results in order of date. So, yeah. I copy this, and I run it. There we go. So it's hard to read, but if you want to approach me later on, I can show it to you in better format using Awesome Print or something. But what this basically shows, let me put this in variables so I can calculate one. Let's do. So output dot first. That's it. Views count 2 for that specific day, and for the other day, tomorrow 20 is 28.5. But that doesn't make sense. You're saying, well, you're just getting each day, right? Let's remove the match, the filter, and we'll aggregate all 5 days together. So I'll comment this. Oops. Run it, and that's my output. So what this basically did was, there we go. Oh wait. That's weird. Let me do it again. Sorry. What I needed here was the wait. Okay. Well, you get the gist. I think the script needs working on a little bit. What it's doing here is it's outputting every day into an array of hashes. What I want is actually one hash with all the aggregations, all the counts summed up. Yeah. Anyways. What's this?
Just the date.
Oh yeah, right. You're right there. Sorry. You're right. Okay. So there you go. Let's run it again. Oh shit. Okay. Hang on. Yeah, I think I know. Let's try this. There we go. That's it. So what that did was, as you can see, the output is 120. Males count 21 and females count 19. I just removed the to make this work. I didn't see it initially, but I removed the group by date. That's it. So basically, it really just summed up everything. So that's the power of MongoDB. If you guys use this before in production, I'd really like to hear your feedback, because we're starting to build our analytics with this behind, our core analytics. If you have other solutions that you've used before that deals with analytics or big data, please come see me after. It's just for a talk. Cool. Any questions?
Do you have real-time requirements? How fast do you need the data?
So, like on our current platform, or like with MongoDB?
On the current platform.
So on our current platform, we don't really need real time. So like when data comes in, we need to show it on the web page. Right now, when we gather data, we'll store it somewhere and then we'll aggregate it.
You can still run it on a batch job.
Run it on a batch job somewhere. But if you want real time, another good combination is something like MongoDB, which is a database that persists data, together with a in-memory NoSQL solution like Redis. So you can do like fast input/outputs with Redis, and then at the end of the day, aggregate your results from Redis into the Mongo embedded document collection, and then you can do like aggregations like for a specific time span.
But you're not using this to store graphs.
What the good thing about this is, because it outputs everything in JSON in the end, you could do that. So like my output here, I think I could do something like this to JSON. and then I can feed it to a JavaScript library, like HighCharts. And I don't need to, because it.
Oh wait, sorry. What I mean by graphs is like the CS graph. You have nodes and you have connections between those types of data.
You mean what are we trying to grab as data for analytics?
No, I mean, are you getting graphs like connections, relationships between your data points?
No, not yet. No. I think the only thing we want to start tracking right now is like we're campaign-driven websites, so we want to track like this would be a small segment. How many views? How many of those views are males, females? And then we really want to expand deeper. In fact, our current schema structure for our analytics goes even deeper than this. So we have like 2 references and several embedded documents for a specific collection. Yeah. But RethinkDB is also another good solution. If you haven't heard of it before, the document on their website is amazing. They do Ruby, Python, and I think it was PHP, another language. I think it's a Y Combinator launch backed company, but they have promising aspects ahead of them. And it's something I'll definitely revisit. Only I can't do. If it was in production, I would definitely use them today. Their stable release is preempted. Is supposed to be for I think December or January. Cool. Yeah, that's it, guys. So if you have any questions, just shoot them up or come to me afterwards.